Hello, welcome to the fourth video in our quick guide series. Today, we're going to look into how to install Git, also how to save and retrieve your work in GitHub using Visual Studio Code. Hi, my name is Eugene, and my mission is to spread lifelong learning. I've been into programming for more than 10 years, but now more than ever, there are more things to learn. Join me as we explore the world of programming. Right now, our focus is dotnet technologies, but we are not limiting ourselves to that. There are plans to include other topics like React, React Native, and others. So please comment below for topics you would like to include. To check if you have Git in your machine, simply go to command prompt and key in git dash dash version. You should see the version of your Git, or if there's none, it will be indicated there. If you don't have Git in your machine, simply go to git-scm.com/downloads. I think it will auto-detect your browser, and then you can just click here to download the installer. So after you have downloaded the Git installer, simply follow the steps. Click next. Install the default including Git bash and Git GUI. We will not use those in this video, but maybe later on we'll use them. Next, use Vim. Yeah, we'll stick into the default for this. Windows style. Install. Okay, we'll just cut short this video to not waste your time. So after the installation, you can run git dash dash version again to confirm your installation. Now that we have installed Git, it's time to add some configuration. To do this, simply go to the command prompt and then key in git config dash dash global. So this will be a global configuration. User.name Eugene. So if there's a space, you can use the double quotation. Git config global user.email gmail.com. Another configuration that you need to add in your Git is the autocrlf. To do this, simply go to git config dash dash global core.autocrlf. So CRLF stands for carriage return character and a light feed character. So the end of line for Windows and Mac and Linux differs. So you need to add this so that it can recognize if your machine is a Windows or a Mac, and then they could differentiate it and avoid issue. So for Windows, we add true, but for Mac and Linux, we add input. So we just key in true since this is a Windows machine. So to view the global configuration in machine, simply key in git config dash dash global dash L. So this lists the configuration we made earlier. the email, the name, and the auto-crlf. So please ignore the other configuration as I made those way before. You can use Q to get out of this menu. Just to have an example, we will use the code from our previous lesson, Quick Guide to Entity Framework Code First Part 1, but you can use any code you have already created. There are two ways to determine if Git is initialized in your project. First, you can check the project folder for that Git folder. The other one is to run in the terminal, control tilde, git status. As you can see here, Git is not yet initialized in this project. To initialize Git, simply key in git init. As you can see on the left side of the screen, there are 110 pending changes to be checked in. If you check our project folder, you can also see a .git folder which is hidden. If we check the list of code to be checked in, you can see that there are unwanted files like bin and exe file to be checked in also in the repository. These files are not necessary to be checked in as those are auto-generated. So to prevent them from being checked in, we will create a Git Ignore file. To create a Git Ignore file, we will use dotnet new Git Ignore. So as you can see, there are only 17 files remaining, and also there will be a .git ignore file in your directory. If we go back to our list of items to be checked in, you can see that there are only 17 items left. If you want to further add items to be ignored, like app settings.json, you can simply go to the Explorer, update the Git Ignore, then maybe add here app settings.json and save. Notice that the list of items to be checked in is now down to 16. So now let's proceed with the check-in. We go to the source control tab, then key in the check-in message. So create customer table. Then we simply hit the plus sign, stage all the changes. So once they are staged, you can commit them. So now everything is inside Git. Now let's proceed to github.com. If you don't have a GitHub account, please create one. So right now I'll create a new repository. On the upper right, simply click the plus sign and click new repository. Then we'll put a repository name, which is customer management. And then the description you can add. You can treat this as public or private. Then create a repository. So once created, this screen should show up. After you have created your repository, this screen should show up. So we can select HTTPS and this will be the GitHub location. So we followed this step. We already have Git initialize, and then we have already done the commit using VSCode. So now we'll just follow the rest of the steps. So in Visual Studio, we just copy the commands from GitHub. So we treat this as a main branch, and then we add the remote origin. And then now we can push the code this one, push. Okay. If we go back to GitHub, in the repository we have just created, we should be able to see the files we have checked in. If we go to the API, we should be able to see also that the app setting.json is not checked in because we put it in the Git Ignore list. So to do the cloning, first we will remove the customer management app in our folder. Now in your command prompt, you can put git clone, then your link. Okay, should be done. You should be able to see again your file in the folder. In Visual Studio Code, we should be able to run the application again. So cd API, then .net, just taking a while to build. Okay, so the application can run after we get from the repository. So to summarize, to check your Git version, simply key in git --version. The link for the Git installer is this one, git-scm.com downloads. And to check for pending changes and to see if Git is initialized in your machine, simply use the Git status. Some basic configuration like adding your name and email so that later on you can identify who checked in and contact the one who checked in. And to add autocrlf for Windows, you just put it as true, and then Linux or Mac, just put it as input. So to set up Git, just key in git init, and to add a Git Ignore file, provided you have .NET SDK, use .NET new Git Ignore. And to add the repository, so key in git remote add origin and then your GitHub link or whichever you use. So that's it for this video. If you learned something new, please consider liking this video or subscribing. If you have questions in mind, please feel free to comment down below. I'll be updating the video, maybe creating new version if there are critical topics that I have missed. So your comment matters. Thank you and good day.